Righto, let's get one thing straight from the get-go. Most investigations don't go off the rails in the report. They go off the rails in the first 10 minutes when someone says, "Well, pretty obvious, old mate stuffed up." There it is. Case closed, brains off, learning dead. That's the trap. Premature conclusions, blame language, loaded little labels like careless, complacent, operator error, failed to pay attention. They sound neat. They're not neat. They're lazy. And once you say them out loud, they start steering everything after that. Which witness you choose first, what photos you take, what records you bother chasing, what questions you ask, even what you hear. An investigation's first job is not diagnosis, it's preservation. Preserve the facts, preserve the scene conditions, preserve the gear, the switches, the guards, the layout, the lighting, the weather, the housekeeping, the data logs, the bloody lot. And preserve witness perspectives before memory gets chewed up by time, stress, lunchroom gossip, and that bloke who's always got a theory by Smoko. Because evidence deteriorates, not just physically. Sure, rain washes things away, people move gear, somebody tidies up the scene because they're trying to be helpful. Happens all the time. But memory deteriorates too. Perception, retention, recall, all of it is a bit rubbery. Humans are not CCTV with lunchboxes. We encode bits, forget bits, rationalize bits, and fill gaps without meaning to. So if you walk in already convinced the driver was speeding, the fitter was careless, or the worker skipped the step because that's just how they are, you're not gathering information anymore. You're prosecuting a theory. Different sport. What you want early on is a disciplined split between what happened and why it happened. They are not the same question. What happened is scene control, photographs, documents, witness accounts, equipment condition, timings, who was where. Why it happened comes later, after you've got enough validated fact to stop yourself making a goose of yourself. And here's a practical tell. If your first notes are full of judgment words, you've started too early. If your first notes are full of observable facts, vehicle on its roof, induction loop here, warning placard there, worker wearing earplugs, no spotter present, pre-start held, no task risk assessment found. Now we're cooking with gas. A good investigator has a bit of discipline and a bit of humility. Integrity, control of emotion, proper communication, persistence. All the boring, grown-up stuff, really. You follow a method, you validate facts, you refrain from premature conclusions. That last one matters more than people reckon. So before any interview, before any fancy chart, before anyone says root cause, like they're unveiling a statue, ask yourself, am I gathering or am I guessing? If it's guessing, pull your head in and get back to the facts. Now, how do you keep yourself honest once the adrenaline's settled and the coffee's gone cold? Structure. Boring answer, brilliant result. That's where PEPO earns its keep. People, environment, equipment, procedures, organisation. It forces your evidence search wider than your favourite theory. You start with a PEPO Mark I, basically a brainstorm of data sources. Not findings, not conclusions. Data sources. Who do I need to speak to? What documents matter? What equipment needs inspection? What's going on in the environment? What procedures, permits, JSEAs, work instructions, training records, maintenance records, previous incidents, supervision arrangements, all of that. It's your roadmap. Then Mark II is where you put factual information back against those categories and sort contributing from non-contributing. And that distinction matters. Everything true is not everything relevant. Nice weather might be true. If it didn't influence the event, it's wallpaper. PEPO also helps stop the classic investigator disease, tunnel vision. You find one human action and suddenly the rest of the system disappears, like your pay packet after school holidays. Structured data gathering drags you back out. If not, why not? That's the follow-up question investigators should have tattooed on the inside of their eyelids. Training done? If not, why not? Procedure available? If not, why not? Spotter in place? If not, why not? Control used? If not, why not? Now let's talk interviews, because this is where evidence gets contaminated by well-meaning muppetry. Witness memory is fallible and malleable. Event duration, proximity, stress, trauma, distraction, elapsed time, collaboration with others, even your interview skill, all of it can distort what you get. So don't make it worse. Start broad. Free recall. Tell me in your own words what you remember. Then open questions. Then active listening. Then paraphrasing. Then, and only then, closed questions to tighten up detail. Leading questions? Use with caution for clarification of something already raised. Loaded questions? Bin them. How careless was he is not an investigative question. It's a contamination device. If you ask, he was speeding, wasn't he? Don't be shocked when the witness starts borrowing your idea. If you ask, don't you agree the procedure was inadequate? Congratulations, you've just fed them the answer and called it evidence. Gold standard stuff. Better habits look like this. Prepare properly. Interview promptly. Private setting. Explain your role. Don't rush. Don't criticize. Don't power trip. Use plain language. Let them talk. Note-take openly. Summarize back. Thank them. And ask if they've got anything else or any ideas to prevent recurrence. And paraphrasing, that's magic when done well. So what you're saying is, it checks your understanding without shoving words in their mouth. Active listening matters too. Shut up. Look interested. Don't interrupt every 3 seconds because you're in love with your own hypothesis. Good habits don't make you slower. They stop you being confidently wrong. Big difference. Once the facts are in, now you earn your lunch. Analysis. And this is where a lot of investigations turn into tidy little stories instead of proper system learning. Stories love heroes, villains, and one neat cause. Real incidents are messier. Multiple contributing factors, active failures, local conditions, absent or failed defences, and organisational factors sitting there quietly in the background like a bad smell in the ute. ICAM helps move you from symptoms to system. It asks you to sort contributing factors into the usual buckets: absent or failed defences, individual or team actions, task or environmental conditions, and organisational factors. Not to blame people, to understand context. What protections were missing or weak? What actions directly led to the event? What conditions promoted those actions? What deeper organisational decisions, processes, or practices set the whole thing up? And yes, 5 whys still has a place. Used properly, it's a questioning technique that helps drive below the obvious. But 5 is arbitrary. Sometimes it's 3, sometimes it's 7. Sometimes you branch, sometimes you hit a point beyond organisational control. Sometimes you need more data. The point is not to chant why like a toddler denied a biscuit. The point is to separate symptom from root cause. Now, warning lights. Confirmation bias will try to sneak back in here. You'll be tempted to privilege the evidence that supports your first view and quietly ignore the stuff that doesn't fit. Don't. If your favourite explanation can't survive inconvenient facts, it's not analysis, it's fan fiction. Routine violations are another beauty. People see a shortcut and treat it like personal moral collapse. Sometimes it is reckless. Often it isn't. Often it's tolerated, normalized, expected, or practically required by workload, layout, bad planning, poor supervision, missing gear, rotten procedures, conflicting goals. If everyone's doing it, the investigation question isn't who broke the rule, it's what made rule breaking the workable option. Same with organisational assumptions. They were trained. Were they? The procedure covered it. Did it? The audit would have picked that up. Would it? Management didn't know. Why not? Don't let institutional mythology into the evidence pack. So here are your guardrails. Use check questions when classifying findings. Code contributing factors consistently so you can spot trends over time. Peer review the analysis. Get another set of eyes to ask, what have we missed? What doesn't fit? Are we mistaking a fact for a contributor? Are we mistaking behaviour for cause? And keep fair and just culture where it belongs, after the investigation, not instead of one. Final takeaway? Slow down at the start, widen your search, clean up your language, and don't fall in love with the first explanation that makes you feel clever. If you want better investigations, stop hunting for a person-shaped ending and start looking for the system-shaped setup. That's where the learning lives, and we'll keep poking at that in the next one.